Ah, the NES. For every NES collector, there's always that one holy grail game, that big ticket item that everyone wants to add. And we're not talking about any of those this week. That's right. What is going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. Thanks for clicking on the thumbnail. Thanks for checking the video out. We have a cast of 20 today. Nearly. I don't know. Math is hard. Didn't really count. We're going to find out. It's nearly 20. I know that much. But I have enlisted some of my favorite content creators from across all platforms, and I've asked them, what is your favorite filler game on the NES? Now, I'm not talking killer apps. We're not looking for Super Mario 3. We're not talking for Mega Man or anything like that. These are the ones, I don't want to call them hidden gems, but these are the ones that you might overlook when you're at a convention. And seeing as how it is convention season right now, you might want to add some of these games onto your shopping list. Kicking things off with my favorite Chicago Blackhawks fan, let's go over to Retro Rob.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Rob from Retro Rob, and I'm here to talk to you today about an affordable yet overlooked NES filler title that you can add to your collection. Should you be out at your local gaming store, gaming expo, and you just want to fill in your collection, I highly recommend Crystalis for the NES. This is a top-down RPG style game, similar to that of Zelda. It's an SNK game, which a lot of people are familiar with SNK for Neo Geo. This is their first entry into the RPG top-down genre. And the story takes place in a post-war apocalyptic time of 1997, where creatures and animals have mutated into monsters, and it's up to you to gain the 4 elemental swords to create the Crystalis to defeat evil once and for all. I highly suggest that if you see this when you're out and about, pick it up. You won't be disappointed, and game on, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob. Crystalis is one of my favorite games. It's a game I absolutely love. SNK makes fantastic software, and this is one of their signature NES experiences. It's a great title. If you dig action RPGs, you need to check this one out. Next, I want to toss it over to my friend Chris from the GameDad show. Chris is going to tell us about one of his favorite action puzzle games.
Hey, what's up, everyone? GameDad here. Now, one of my favorite non-mainstream NES games has got to be an actual franchise of games, and those are the Adventures of Lolo games. There's 1, 2, and 3, and those games are awesome. I love a good puzzle game, and these games start off super easy and get progressively way more difficult as you go down the line, and they are just a blast to play. The characters are cute, it's got a nice simple story that you can follow along with, and it has a ton of puzzle adventure fun, including a password system that allows you to actually, skip back to some of the levels that you had, and it is just a great time. It is great fun, and yeah, a non-mainstream NES game that I love to play is Adventures of Lolo.
Adventures of Lolo is a money title, one of my favorites, but it's something that I think a lot of people overlook. This is a great suggestion, Chris. Thank you for bringing this one up. Next, we are going over to the Game Beaters. This is my friend Dan. Dan, take it away.
So back in the NES heyday, when I was a kid, I really wanted a video game based on the Transformers. Well, we never got that in the United States. However, if there was any game released that could scratch that itch, that game would be The Guardian Legend. Personally, I think this is an NES hidden gem. You play as a character who can transform from a humanoid into a spaceship. And how this works is while you're a spaceship, the game is a vertical shmup. And don't worry, it's not like a crazy bullets coming at you from every direction kind of game. I'm not a huge fan of shmups, and for someone who is like me, this game is totally doable. The other half of this game is the humanoid part. This part is similar to overhead worlds like in Blaster Master, with maybe a touch of Legend of Zelda. Here you have a map screen to help you find your way around the area, and you're obtaining power-ups and unlocking new areas. The graphics here, they're really fun. Also, the soundtrack is fantastic. Overall, The Guardian Legend is a very worthy addition to your NES library. Thanks to Jay from Square Pegs for having me, and thank you for watching.
I love The Guardian Legend, and so true, 100%. An inspired game that felt like Transformers when we didn't have a Transformers game on the NES when we were younger. This is an awesome call. Up next, over to Brandon from Game Junction. If you guys are not subscribed to Game Junction, make it happen.
How's it going, guys? Brandon with Game Junction. Thank you so much, Square Pegs, for having me on your channel. And I was asked, what's an NES game budget title that I recommend? And I also want to say before that, if you are not subscribed to his channel, please do give Square Pegs a sub. And the game that I chose is Tiger Heli. This was a game that I had as a child, and this is actually an arcade port to the NES, and it's a pretty fun game. It's a vertical scrolling shooter. Basically, you're a helicopter, you're trying to get through an arcadey level of shooting on your helicopter. You've got a really cool little sidekick, small chopper that follows you around, allows you to shoot to the side and other directions. But this was a really good arcade port, and for $5 or $10 if you find this, it's not a bad deal. There's 4 roughly kind of long levels, but it's very replayable, and it's one that I really enjoy. And again, I had it as a kid. It's one that I can go back to, pop in, have a good time, and like I said, $5-10, you can't beat it. So this is definitely one that I recommend.
Brandon, thank you so much, my friend. Looking forward to seeing you at Korg's right now, actually, as this video comes out. If you're in the Columbus, Ohio area, be sure to stop by tomorrow. It's going to be a good time. Up next, tossing it over to my good friend Marcello from GameCube Galaxy.
Hey, what's up everybody? Marcello here from GameCube Galaxy, and my good friend Jay over at Square Pegs asked me what I thought was an essential NES game that was a non-AAA title that should be in everyone's collection. For me, that pick goes to POW, Prisoners of War. In this SNK-developed NES port of the arcade original, players take control of Bart, who breaks out of his prison cell, and is head set on going after the leader that imprisoned him and putting a stop to him. This beat 'em up has you punch and kick your way through levels, as well as having this handy jump kick attack you can do as well. You can also pick up machine guns and grenades if the opponent drops them on the ground. As you progress through levels, you can even go in houses and trucks to find more enemies to face that'll actually drop power-ups such as health or maybe brass knuckles to do more damage with punches. The game does a good job of providing a variety of different stages, and the boss fights are pretty fun. While there are better beat-em-ups for the NES like the TMNT games or Batman Returns, POW Prisoners of War is a really great game that I feel a lot of people don't get to mention often. The only gripe I do have with this game is that it is a single-player only affair on the NES, versus the arcade version actually having 2-player co-op. But if you don't mind playing a beat-em-up solo, I gotta say, Prisoners of War is a game that is fun from start to finish, and a good challenge as well. I just want to say thank you again, Jay, for letting me take part in this awesome collab. Now, back to the list.
I've legit never played this game. Didn't even know it existed, so really excited that this one got suggested. Marcello, this is an awesome suggestion. Thank you so much, and a perfect example of filler games everyone should add. Next, let's go over to my buddy Thor from Hey, It's Thor.
Hey, it's Thor. My choice for games to fill your NES collection with is Galaga's Demons of Death. It is the sequel to Galaxian. It is a really good port of the arcade game and a really fun shooter. Designed by Namco and released by Bandai, with over 200 levels at your disposal, will provide you with many hours of gameplay, lots of challenges, and at only $15, one of the lowest cost games to collect for.
You guys have seen Thor in a lot of my convention coverage videos at the Midwest Gaming Classic. He's one of my favorite people, one of my best friends. Thank you so much for participating. I really appreciate it. Next, let's toss it over to Dr. Scott from the Game Closet.
Hey everyone, Dr. Scott here from Game Closet. Now, when I was a kid, I had a Commodore 64, and my best friend, 2 doors down, well, he had an NES. So I went to my best friend's house to play Nintendo. A great sleeper NES title that I fell in love with and later purchased twice now is Solar Jetman, Hunt for the Golden Warp Ship. Explore and maneuver your jet pod to gather lost items of the Golden Warp Ship over 12 planets. Upgrade your equipment as you go, and if your ship is destroyed, all is not lost. Jetpack around in your spacesuit, and you can still get back to your mother base for a new jet pod. It's a mesmerizing game with flying, shooting aliens, and even a little strategy. It's an absolute must-have for any gamer. This is an NES clone seller to me. Guaranteed you'll have fun, or I'll need to check your pulse. We'll see you very soon.
Thank you, Doc. I really appreciate your participation on this video. Love that you included Solar Jetman. What a great idea. And awesome memories as well to be going back to a game like this. Just such a great option. Next, Wave Riders, we are going over to one of the most talented musicians that I know. Let's talk to Peter from Waves and Games.
What's up, Wave Riders? The NES has a ton of arcade ports, and some of them are near perfect, but there's only one that I can think of that's better than the arcade. Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off-Road. Released back in 1989, this arcade port allows for 4-player simultaneous action, as long as you have the NES 4-score. I grew up playing this game in our local laundromat, and by playing, I mean letting the attract mode go, and I would just spin the wheel. But then I went to a friend's house for dinner, and they had it on NES, and that is when I truly fell in love with this game. So you might be asking yourself, Peter, why do I need this filler title in my collection? The answer is multiplayer. This game is not about playing by yourself. It's about sitting on the couch next to your brother, next to a friend, and purposely running into them so they can't cross the checkered line first. The controls are straightforward: turn left, turn right, A to go, B to boost, and you just run into your friends. The graphics, they're like a 7 out of 10. The music, don't worry about the music. You're gonna be yelling at your friend all night anyways because they keep running into you. Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off-Road is one of the top filler games that you need to have in your collections. In fact, it's almost killer. Like, if this is killer, it's right here in the filler. I'll send it back over to Jay, and I'll catch you on the next wave.
Peter, my friend, thank you so much. Really appreciate your participation. You know that I have a soft spot in my heart for Ivan Iron Man Stewart Super Off-Road. Really appreciate you including this one, and good call on it being a multiplayer game. Awesome, awesome experience. Next, Russ, what you doing?
What's up, guys? Russ Lyman here, and if we're talking mediocre NES games that people overlook, well, Fact Xanadu has to be on that list. It plays as a side-scrolling adventure game very similar to that of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, coming out only a year after that game. I felt it got left in the shadow of it though. Zelda had such success with the first game, people were going to buy the second game. But this was its own standalone thing. That, combined with how the box art is, just the name and a small crest on the front. It kind of mimics more of Final Fantasy with the box art. That fact, I'm sure no kid knew how to say Fact Xanadu did not help with the popularity of this. I've recently live streamed this entire game and had never played it back in the day. It had some charm to it, and given a chance, I think most would enjoy the game. Sure, there are some things that annoy me about the game, but for not being a mainline first-party Nintendo release, I think this game holds up pretty good against Zelda. So if you see this at a convention or game store, you could say, oh, it's that game with the hard name to read that plays like Zelda 2. Well, pick it up, give it a try, and you just may be surprised. So yeah, hard game to pronounce. The kind of font that they chose was a little weird, but I think it's a fun game overall as long as you're persistent and stick with it. It's got a pretty fun story, and it's an adventure style game. Great graphics on it. Give it a go. Don't leave it left in the dark. All right, back to you, Jay.
If you guys are not subscribed to Russ Lyman's channel, you need to be. Russ is one of the most talented creators on YouTube, a fantastic mind for all things DIY, great personality, and just awesome gameplay videos. I love Russ, one of my favorite people, and you do need to be checking his stuff out. He's absolutely crushing it with his content lately. Let's go over now to my friend John from Biddy Kong's Quest.
Hey there, folks. John here from Biddy Kong's Quest, and when Jay asked me the question of what my pick for best NES filler game would be, it really wasn't a hard choice for me. I chose Legacy of the Wizard. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this game, it's actually an extremely common game. I haven't checked prices on it lately, but I would imagine this one would be easy to pick up. South of $10, probably $5, honestly, if you look at the right place. This game seems to come with like every single NES lot that I pick up, and I pick up a lot of them. And it's really, really common, but honestly, really, really, really fun. The music is absolutely fantastic, and you don't see a ton of people talk about it, I think, because it's a little bit frustrating. It's definitely NES hard. If you've ever heard of Mylan's Secret Castle, or I would even compare it, honestly, to the original Metroid, it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't really give you any instructions on what to do, but you can pick multiple characters at the beginning of the game, and basically you just try to find your way through this dungeon with very few clues, and doesn't really give you much help. But beyond that, this is an absolutely fantastic game, and if you want something that you can just kind of chip away at over time, and I would definitely keep a little journal or make a little map or something like that as you play, again, like you would have had to do with the original Metroid. This is an absolutely awesome game. I love this game. So check out Legacy of the Wizard, and that's my pick.
Thank you, John. Legacy of the Wizard, one of my favorite games. This is a great inclusion on this list. This is one that I held on to, actually. When I got rid of most of my retro collection a few years ago, I held on to Legacy of the Wizard. I wasn't going to collect much for NES anymore, but I knew I wanted to keep that one. I'm really, really glad you mentioned it. Now it's time for my twin brother from another mother, the Immortal, John Hancock.
There's a lot of people that are going to overlook old sports titles and think they are filler. I have one for you for the NES that is not, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, and it's NES Ice Hockey. This 1988 classic is so much fun. I think it's like the evolution of Pong in 8-bit form. You can play the game at 5 different speeds. You can choose the individual players on your team, and you can make them fat, skinny, or medium. And oh my goodness, there's so much strategy to this. It's so fast. You can play a game, within minutes, or you can just go all out. You can choose different countries. You need to play this game. This is not filler. This is fantastic. Play it today.
Always appreciate sports games being included, John. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you taking part. And what a great title. NES Ice Hockey is a magnificent inclusion on this list. It is dirt cheap. Like, complete in box, it's dirt cheap. So it's definitely something folks should be looking to add to their collection. It's a magnificent game. All right, we're going over now to my favorite Canadians, Scott and Jen from Retro Rivals.
Hey Jay, thanks so much for inviting us to collaborate in this video with you. We think we have a game that not everybody will either know or would have named, and we're going to talk about Little Nemo, the Dream Master.
Recently just discovered by us.
Yeah.
In the last, month-ish?
Yeah.
It was a pickup at a local pawn shop. I'd never heard of it before, looked up some gameplay. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give that a try.
Yeah. So, in all fairness, we haven't played all the way through this game, although I think we played enough of it to really be able to say, this is a game that you should have in your collection.
This game did come out before Kirby's Adventure.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see some inspirations that game may have taken from this, where you have the ability to feed the different animals candy, and you put them in like a little
diabetic
coma, and then you're able to take control of them or ride them or whatever, and it gives you different abilities in every level.
Yeah.
And you're gonna need these animals just to get through.
And what's tricky about it too is sometimes you think the animal you have is the animal you need, but you have to go on a different route to get the animal you need to get across to the next space, and you're looking for keys essentially. But in every level you have to look for keys to open a door at the end and to get the finish of the game and defeat the Nightmare King.
It seems like every animal has a strength, but then also comes with its own weaknesses.
Yes.
So they're all different, which is cool. And just graphically alone, the game looks really nice and bright, and the sprites are cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good looking
The music
NES
was
game.
really nice, which we appreciated too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, could you add worse games to your collection? Absolutely. But with this one, I don't think you can go wrong. I think there's lots of play value there. Because of the difficulty and the challenge, I think this could be a game that you play for quite a few hours. Or at least I would. Yep. All right, thanks so much for inviting us on this collab, and we'll send it back to you.
Love Little Nemo, one of my favorite titles. So happy that this got included on this list. In a world where so many people are intent on getting things like DuckTales and the Mega Man games from Capcom and all of the Disney games, Little Nemo can go overlooked, and I really love that you guys included this. One of my favorite titles. There's actually 2 new Little Nemo games in the works right now. Over now to the guy who ran the bonus stage at the Midwest Gaming Classic this year, TigerChainsaw, take it away.
Hey friends, it's TigerChainsaw. Hey, do you like The Legend of Zelda combined with RPG elements? Then you are going to love The Magic of Scheherazade, and believe me, this game is much more fun to play than pronounce. This top-down adventure combines time travel with Arabian themes as you explore 5 different worlds and experience both real-time fighting as well as turn-based combat. Now, it's not as polished as some of the other mega titles on the NES, but it offers so much variety and is very worthy of a pickup. Plus, it's also quite affordable. Just don't ask for too much of a discount. The Magic of Scheherazade. Pick it up and impress your friends by saying the name of the title correctly.
What a great game. Something that I don't think a lot of people look at and get excited for. I think they overlook it, and I'm really, really stoked that you included that one. Thank you so much, TC. Really appreciate it. Let's go now to my friend and your friend. How are you feeling? It's time for John Riggs.
How you feeling? You got John Rakes here thinking about those great filler games for the NES. And there's so many great games out there, 678 licensed games on the NES, a lot to choose from. One of the first games I thought of was Rescue the Embassy Mission. I loved it because you could just pop it in and play it for like a 5-minute round, a 15-minute round, whatever the case may be, just to kind of like, separate, some time between other games and stuff like that too. I still play this game today. Has some great gameplay value too, where there's different elements to it. The first part, you're kind of ducking through, avoiding the spotlights, being shot at, jumping in the bushes and all that. Then there's a behind-the-back sniper mode, so you can pick off some of the enemies before you enter the building. Then you can repel from the rope, crash through the window, and then it's that over-the-shoulder kind of mode where you're, killing the enemies, rescuing the hostages and all that, and you do the whole thing in about 5 minutes or so, give or take anyway. So I think it's a great game. I love playing it, and it's a game that you can still find relatively cheap. As of recording this video, I think you can still find it for less than $10, and it's one of my absolute favorite games on the NES. So if you haven't done so yet, haven't grabbed it for your filler collection, might want to look it up. Rescue the Embassy Mission.
Rescue the Embassy Mission is not something I've actually personally played, but I remember you showing it off on a video last year. What a great idea for having so many different gameplay options. John, thank you so much for including it. All right, now Pack Rats, let's go check in with Pac-Man Case.
What's up, Pac-Man Case here, and Jay, thank you so much for letting me join in on the conversation of the NES games that get overlooked. This game that I'm picking is Jackal. Not only is it one of my favorite NES games, but this game right now will only cost you around $12 to $13 loose. This game is absolutely incredible. It is a new take on the top-down shooter. You are one of 2 Jeeps if you decide to play co-op mode that are mounted with machine guns and grenade launchers, and your job is to go rescue the prisoners of war. Not only do you battle through awesome landscapes, cool enemies, but this probably has one of the most amazing soundtracks, in my opinion, on any of the NES games. If you are looking for an amazing 2-player co-op experience, look no further than Jackal on the NES. You guys will not be disappointed. Pick this one up as soon as you can. Enjoy your list.
So happy that Jackal is included. I love Jackal. It's in my top 5 NES games, I think. It's such an underrated title. It's something that I think a lot of people just look at and go, oh, it's another vehicle combat game. No, it is the vehicle combat game on the NES. It's absolutely brilliant. Such a well-balanced and such a fun game to play. I watched a live stream that Andy did a couple of weeks ago with Jay from NES Addict, and it was magnificent. It was wonderful to watch them play. Super cool experience. All right, tossing it over now to Susasi from Geeks By The Creek.
Good day, everyone. Susasi from Geeks By The Creek here, and my filler game is Starship Hector. Let me explain. Hector 87 received a stateside release as Starship Hector in 1990, rather late in the NES's life. It's a Hudson Soft shmup and is a follow-up to the better-known Star Soldier, but it mixes up the formula with both vertically and horizontally scrolling stages, and the weapons and gameplay are expanded to include both forward-firing beams and ground-targeting bombs. Hector also has a shield meter. You heard me, a life meter in a shmup. This game is not easy and can be frustrating at times. That doesn't stop it from being fun and enjoyable. The sprite work is good, but won't wow you. The music is pretty good as well. The best part may be the history of the game. It was the caravan competition game for Hudson's All Japan Caravan Festival in 1987. It's essentially a competition cart with 2 timed caravan modes baked in, a 2-minute and a 5-minute score attack. In 1995, Hector 87 was ported to the Super Famicom as part of the Caravan Shooting Collection that also included Star Force and Star Soldier, and was released exclusively in Japan.
Thank you so much, my friend. Excited that you participated. Get some eyes on this channel, guys. Susasi is awesome. His channel's really fun. He's got some great content. All right, lastly, I want to toss it over to the guys who did so much for the channel last year. I really appreciate them both shouting out the channel as often as they did, their support, their advice, as well as their participation today. Let's go over to Robert and Wes from Gaming Off the Grid.
Thanks for having us on, Square Pegs. Filler titles every NES collector should have. I think you guys are going to like our pick because it's under $4 on price charting.
I think it's like $3.91, and CIB is only like $22, which is wild.
Great co-op game, up to 4 players. Kings of the Beach.
Kings of the Beach. We have such a fascination with volleyball games for some reason, and Kings of the Beach is so good.
Yeah.
It's by Ultra, otherwise known as Konami,
Yeah.
and this game is phenomenal. It's straightforward volleyball. There's not much to look at. The graphics are pretty simple, but man, it is.
It's a great time.
It is so fun, and it's hard. It's a difficult game.
Super V-Spike volleyball or whatever is the one, or Super Spike I think is the one most people have played. And that game is great too. But Kings of the Beach is a freaking sleeper, dare I say. It's a hidden gem. I love when that term gets thrown around on the interwebs. For the price, you're going to have a lot of fun. You got to get a buddy, maybe get a few drinks going, and play some Kings of the Beach.
And what's so cool is it's up to 4 players. Obviously, you'll need like the NES multi-tab or whatever to get 4 players, but you can do 2v2 volleyball for less than $4 on the NES. Such a freaking sleeper, dude. It's so good.
Hard to find a better feeling than the old bump set. And how you doing?
Kings of the Beach Volleyball, another sports title included on this list. Awesome inclusion, guys. Thank you so much for your suggestion. Great game and a perfect filler title. So many people overlook the sports games on the NES, and this is a brilliant one. And I guess now it's my turn, right? And for me, it's a game that I chased down for years, but it's something that I think a lot of people overlook because when they see it, they think it's a Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link clone. But to me, the Battle of Olympus is one of the most key games on the NES. It's a fantastic action RPG. It's got a great setting in ancient Greece, awesome gameplay, a fantastic soundtrack, and just a wonderful look. Battle of Olympus is a great title. If you haven't played it, it's not that expensive. I got it complete in box last year at Torg for under $50, and it's a brilliant game. Be sure to look this one up when you are at a convention this year. There you have it, everybody. Filler games that every NES collection should have. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite filler game is on the NES. If there's any on this list that you completely disagree with, talk about that one as well. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hang out for a little while, kick the tires on the channel. We're a big family here. I would love to have you stick around. Till next time, folks, I've been Jay. Thank you again to everyone who participated. Be sure to check all their channels out. Links are in the descriptions down below. And until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.